We're okay? Okay. Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. Unfortunate last night that I had to notify Ron Renneke that he would not be retained as manager of the ball club. And, you know, coming off of a good series in Chicago, it was very difficult to do. But this wasn't about the last 3 games. It was about covering the last 100 games, covering last September, getting off to the start that we did here this season. We didn't anticipate that kind of a start. Ron's very professional in what he does. He brought success to the organization here. He's leaving with a winning record as a manager. So these things happen sometimes, but we played, I think, 28 games under 500 over our last 100 games, and it didn't have a good feel to it. So I just felt that we needed to make a change. It happened much sooner than I thought. I had a lot of confidence in Ron. This spring I convinced Mark Attanasio to extend him and give him a contract. And I guess in this business, managers get fired, general managers get fired, players get released. We all know that that's part of the business. But I want to thank Ron for what he brought to this organization over his time here. But today it's about our new manager. And Craig Counsell has worked in the front office the last 3 years. He's got 16 years of playing experience. He's played 1,600 games as a player. I told him he was on the bench for about 800 games that he didn't play. And during those games, I know that he was managing in his mind over those 800 games. So, but that experience, the winning experience, World Series rings, what he's done in the front office working with me over the last 3 years is going to be a very big help to him on the field. He went out, he got very engaged with our player development, our scouting. He was down to our academy. He sat in draft meetings. He sat in advanced scouting meetings. He sat in our meetings going over the team. So his familiarity here with the organization and what the job entails is going to be very helpful to him. He's very passionate. He has energy. He has an edge for preparation. And if you add all of those things up and what he brings, I think Craig is ready for the managerial job. And I'm pleased to announce Craig Counsell as the new manager of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, it's it's a tough day on one hand, but it's an exciting day on another hand. For me, I spoke with Ron last night, and I consider Ron a friend. We had a good conversation, and he was, as you'd expect he'd be. He was a professional. I mean, he wished me well, and lended all his support. Like Doug said, I've worked here as a player. In the front office. I've watched Brewer games for 35 years. I'm a Milwaukee Brewer. I've always felt that way. Baseball in this city is important to me. It's part of me. I feel a responsibility for it. I always have. And I'm proud to have that responsibility. It's a great honor to move forward, to try to give the fans, what they deserve. I'm going to try to come in here and we're going to try to win games. That's my job, is to win games, and that's what I'm going to try to do every single day I wake up. We're going to try to figure out a way to win baseball games.
Take questions for Craig or Doug.
Sorry, Craig, what are your just initial ideas on how to get some wins piled up for this team?
I think managers, I don't believe in a style of managing. I believe that we take rosters and we try to get the best out of our players. And I'm going to try to get your players to perform to the best of their abilities, and that's what I'm based on what their skills are. And so I'm going to try to get these guys playing to their capabilities, and I think if that's good, if we can do that, we'll be good. and that's my number one goal. I think I will have expectations of them. They'll know them. They'll be important to me. And we'll build those. We'll build those as we go. You know, baseball is, because it's so day to day. Those relationships and that respect and that trust, you have to earn it every day. You have to earn it on decisions that you make every day, and you have to earn it on how you behave every day. And that's what we'll do.
Doug, when did you decide that this was the move that had to be made, and when did you approach Craig?
Well, it happened quickly, and it was this weekend, just the past few days. It was there was an off day Thursday in Chicago, and Mark and I had talked extensively about it. It wasn't feeling good about how we were playing. You know, we had 5 wins going into the Chicago series. We had 7 wins last month. It didn't feel good, and slept on it for a day or so, and then just decided to make the change, and it came together just quickly over the last couple days.
Doug, Craig doesn't have any coaching or managerial experience at any level. What makes him the right person for this job?
Well, there's a lot of managers today that don't have that. Matt Williams, Brad Osmus, sort of the Trent Robin Ventura, Walt Weiss. There's a lot of players that had extensive, successful big league careers, and they didn't manage in the minor leagues. But he's not far from being in that clubhouse with the players wearing that uniform. And I think he knows today's players more than maybe somebody from the outside who doesn't know our organization. Maybe someone from the outside that maybe hasn't managed in a few years. There's too many things familiar with him here, with what he's gone. He knows our minor league system. He knows our coaches in the minor leagues. He knows how we operate. He's been involved in the scouting aspect. He knows how tough it is to find players. And I think that he's been in all those meetings, so he's got that familiarity. But I just think it's a little bit of how he played the game, too. He played the game with a chip on his shoulder, and he played the game to win. I said he's got a real edge for preparation. And a lot of times, it's not the manager's decision. I think there's way too much made of bringing in the pitcher or pinch hitting and all that stuff. It's all about preparation and getting the players prepared. And if they're prepared properly in that, then they will play the game at a high level. And I think that he's ready for that, because he was the kind of player that prepared himself to be available to play. On those days he didn't play, he was still prepared to play. And I think there's just too many familiarities with what he has here and the way he played the game, that I believe that will resonate in our clubhouse.
Craig, Doug, at the end of, you extended Ron Reineke after 75 of the 100 games you spoke of, so you clearly thought enough of him to put a second year, and then after 25 games, all of a sudden he needs to be gone. That seems inconsistent.
Well, you know, we thought our last 100 games has been inconsistent. I guess that's the way I look at it. And I thought coming out of spring training, we thought that if Jimmy Nelson pitched well to take the place of Gallardo, we thought if Gene Segura overcame the unfortunate circumstances last year and played well, and we thought the addition of a left-handed bat to our ball club, that we were as good a club as coming out of spring training the previous year. And all those three things have happened in a positive way. Jimmy's pitched well. Gene's bounced back playing at a high caliber of performance, and Adam Lynn's been our best hitter. So with that happening, we couldn't figure out why is the team still struggling. Some of the things that we looked to improve upon or expected improved, and why was the team still performing the way it has? And I don't have those answers. Even Ron, a week ago, Ron and I sat, and he says, I don't have those answers. So I think it felt that at this time, it's probably good to have someone else come in and take a look and see if he can come up with some of the answers. We know some of the things internally. I'm not going to sit there and go over every player as to how they perform, where they perform. All these things tie in together. But, you know, again, we've won 2 games in a row, only 3 times since last September 1. 2 games in a row. You think you could win 2 games in a row by mistakes, where the other team's playing bad. We won 2 games in a row 3 times since last September the 1st. That's not acceptable, and it's hard to understand why.
Craig, you practically grew up at County Stadium, and yeah, this obviously means something. You kind of touched on that, but is it surreal? I know you wanted to play, and you did play in the major leagues, but was this a dream as well?
It's not surreal because it's a place where I feel like I've prepared myself to be. Surreal was playing. This is probably more where I thought it would always end up. In a position of leadership like this. So, it's an honor and it's humbling, but I feel like this is what I was meant to do, I think I'll be better at this than I was at playing.
Craig, does this moment mean more to you, though, being a hometown guy, having your family here?
Yeah, look, it means a lot, and I touched on that. I mean, I'm a Brewer, and that, that means something. It does. The logo means something to me. It does. My dad worked here, Like I said, I've been at County Stadium since I was 10. So it does. It's part of you, and I think that just it gets you more excited about it. It makes you want to work harder for it. Makes you want to work harder at it, because there is something more. It's not. This isn't a. I'm not looking at this as a job. This is not a second career. This is what I just my passion of what I want to do. That's the simplest way I can say it.
Craig, do you think the talent on this team is presently constituted should be a contending team this season?
I think we need to figure out a way to win games. The contending, we can speculate on scenarios. Let's win games and find out. Let's get them playing to their capabilities and find out. Are we a contending team right now or not? We aren't. But we got to look at this. I'm looking at this for the players as an opportunity. This is an opportunity. We don't get to start over. We can't start over. Our record is our record. But we do have an opportunity to, there is a mark right here, and we can start being the team that we want to be. That is the opportunity. Let's be the team we want to be from this point forward.
Is there a chance, though, that expectations were too unrealistic? This team's been way below 500 a lot longer than it was above 500 last year. Could it have just been a lucky start last year and that this team just really isn't that good?
I don't, there's no, luck is not, luck's part of baseball, but we have good players. I think going around, I know we have good players. I hear it from other teams that we have good players. So I don't believe that scenario you're laying out, that's not what I believe. And I think we have a chance. We have a chance right here, We have an opportunity. There's an opportunity for all those guys in there to decide what we're going to be. And I think that's a good thing to have. And they'll welcome that.
To both of you, is there any one area that you think has been the most disappointing, either in this 25, I guess, Craig, for this 25, or even over the last 100?
Well, if you live in a statistical world today, and last year I think we finished 6th in hitting, 8th in pitching, and today I don't even want to look at the list where we're at pitching and hitting, and that. So we're on the bottom third. You don't win unless you're going to be in the top. You got to be very good at something. In the past, we were a very big offensive team hitting in a hitter's park. Our pitching was better last year, but if we can perform the way we did this past series in Chicago, I think that shows that there is talent out there, the way they played these last 3 or 4 games. But overall, hitting is down in baseball dramatically, and we're just not used to seeing the offense the way it is today. But the games the game's involved with so many components of the game today. You know, starting pitching, middle relief, bullpen, setup guys, leadoff hitters, middle of the order hitters. There's so many components, and we got to try to find a way to get them working all in sync to win more ball games.
Doug, does giving Craig a 3-year deal signal that you're looking at this as more of a long-term project of getting this right versus just naming an interim guy and then starting over at the end of the year?
Yeah, I don't believe in the interim manager. I don't think it's works out that well if you look at the history of it and that. So because Craig has the knowledge and the past 3 years of knowing our minor league system is very helpful, that if there's moves we have to make this year, next year, the following years, he's much more familiar with what can be done, familiar with their talent level, and what we have in the minor league system.
You say we, has your status changed at all beyond this season in terms of the contract?
I keep coming to work every day.
Have you and Mark had discussions on that, Rob, to, coincide again? Often the GM and manager will have contracts that coincide.
I'm not worried about that. I just keep coming to work every day until I'm told not to.
Craig, you're teammates with some of the guys in the clubhouse now. Do you view that as a challenge, or how do you view that, having to manage former teammates?
Well, I think I view it as a positive. There's a relationship already there. We have to form relationships with everybody, and so I view it as positive. And they know where I come from. They know where I sit on lots of things. So to me it's a positive. I don't think to some degree, I've been managing them for a while. Both as a player and, helping them now in this role. So those guys, to me, are easier, quite honestly.
Craig, you've made it clear many times how important your family is for you. Now you're going to have to pull away and be on the road. What makes this the right time, and how difficult was that decision for you?
Well, it was a very difficult decision. I think it played into some of the other decisions I've made the past couple of years, but these opportunities are rare, and this opportunity, is the one. So it's the rarest. So you don't get many. You don't have all these choices all the time, and this is so. There's a sacrifice there, because this is hard work, and we know that, and we've talked about it, but this is a great opportunity, and you got to take those, and great things will come from them, and I think that's what I've tried to tell the little ones.
So have you had a chance to talk to the players at all yet, and what have they said to you?
I haven't spoken to any of the players. No, we'll do that this afternoon, and quite honestly, it's going to be a pretty simple message today. We got a game at 6:20. We can't start over today. We got a game at 6:20, and I'll have some simple messages for them, and we'll build on this weekend, and. As we move forward, and like I said, on a daily basis, they'll understand what I expect from them.
Craig, are there changes that you have identified already that you want to put in place starting today?
I don't know of specific changes. I mean, I think, my view of stuff like the lineup and the bullpen usage is we make way too big a deal out of it. We're going to put players in a position to succeed, and a lineup change here is not some signal that I don't like the player or he's not doing. We're just putting out the best foot forward every day to win a baseball game. So the changes that you might I think the changes are mostly things that you guys won't see, quite honestly.
You'll look for it, but they won't see it.
What does that mean?
Well, it's changes, and I think I just have a way that I want things to be done, you know. So that's what I'm going to try to explain to the players, things that are important to me. And I think those can in part change as well.
Craig, were there any managers that you played for during your career that you'll take things from, or will be kind of what do you learn from guys that you played for?
Well, everybody you come across with, you gain knowledge from. If you don't take knowledge from everybody, you're missing something, because everybody has something to offer to you. I think the most influential people for me were Jim Leland and Bob Melvin. Jim Leland just was hard on you, but fair, and made you understand. And then Bob Melvin kind of let me into the back room and made me understand what managing was about and the decisions that he was making on a daily basis with the team, while I was playing for him. And so I got an understanding of my first real understanding of what being a manager was from him.
Craig, Ron bent over backwards to make the guys feel comfortable here. Can that sometimes work against the manager if they get too comfortable? And do you think that's something that needs to be addressed?
I think there's a balance there. And I think, I've said this for years. I said this as a player. We all want to be led.